All right, we're live now. All right, that's better.
Is that speed
Yo.
better?
That speed's better
Hello.
because there's no, yeah.
Okay, so are we just starting over?
Yeah, just start over.
Okay, so we are here to discuss Fantasy Soft Entertainment's recent public statement regarding their misappropriation of funds. They have somehow $5,000 accrued over time has somehow disappeared. It's not being used for a project that has been promoted, and the invasion of publicity involving actor Vic Mignogna in the fact that Fantasy Soft Entertainment has just been alleged to have used Vic's name and image for the purpose of crowdfunding when Vic Mignogna was never involved in the project from, 6 years ago. So we have a panel of people. So I guess I'll start with introductions.
Yep.
My name is Whitney Williams. I am a voice actress and singer based out of Northern California. Okay, whoever's next.
Hello, my name is Sean. I am the creator of Project Icarus and the Monk House.
My name is Sarah. I am a voice actress based in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, me. My name is Anthony, and I'm the creator of Origin of Shogun, and yeah, I'm just here.
All right, we all have, my name is Tom Williams. I'm a local voice actor, resident on Twitter, and located out of Northern California. We all have known Fantasy Soft in one way, shape, form, or another. Probably not all. None of us have really directly dealt with them, but we've dealt with them indirectly for sure. We've known people that have worked with them in the past. One voice actress in particular,
Which we
might delve into that.
That's an entirely different can of worms. We're going to do this first, and then if time is permitting, we will go into further discussion because we will be discussing a personal experience with one of the voice actresses that was named as one of their working clients. We actually have personal experience working with her and figure it is time to share it. And I apologize for the baby sound. We do have our 20-month-old toddler who is still awake. Okay, so are we just going to start digging into this?
There's only like one person watching.
Well, I'm going to keep going.
Yes.
All right, let's do this. So, statement from our president and CEO. A couple years ago, I graduated from high school in 2005. I started Fantasy Soft Entertainment, LLC. Since there was a lack of quality faith-based entertainment, my goal was to change that. All right, we have any problems with that, or do I keep going?
No problem.
Okay, no problems there. My first project was Prince Adventures, my firstborn, my favorite. This was going to be the series that would change the world. I thought that then. I still believe that now. So I filled notebook after notebook after notebook with characters and story arcs and etc. and etc. Any problems there?
Nope.
Okay, so fast forward to me. Are you serious? Fast forward to me teaching myself how to write a screenplay. I wrote the pilot. After that, I created a pitch Bible for studios and networks to get an understanding of this new fantasy called Prince Adventures. I started to get all the pieces needed to produce a series. All right, should we stop there and discuss it?
Yes.
Okay, let's discuss that. The way I view it, it takes a lot of people and a lot of different assets and different parts of a series to come together to have it ready for a pitch. Because you want to show, when you're presenting something to a network or a studio, you want to show you have all the pieces already put together. You want to show a completed pilot, like completed. I'm not saying like storyboards. I'm not saying like a screenplay like script. you want to show, I feel like you would want to show like the complete project for an animated pilot, just the pilot, but you'd have voice actors, you'd have the music, you'd have it all animated and ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, am I the only one that thinks that?
No,
I agree with that.
I agree with that. It's like, okay, and like here's where I think he really fucked it up, because he was like, okay, I'm just gonna get everybody first and then we'll figure it out from there. That's not how it works. What you're supposed to do is first get the animation done, get that out of the fucking way, and then get the voice acting in there. And then if you actually have it with the professional VAs, then you can announce that, and then you can start the voice acting only once you have a finished product. You don't start voice acting before the animation is done.
Goddamn, Sarah.
Like, that's a no-no. Even the most basic people who have no experience in animation knows this.
So, he actually has an answer for you regarding the animation.
Goddamn.
He actually explains it right here. An animated series needed an animation studio. Duh. So, using Skype, I called Gonzo, the studio behind Afro Samurai, Samurai 7, and Desert Punk. Someone picked up just speaking Japanese. I was soon forwarded to someone who could speak English. Long story short, I got my studio. I want to stop there because that is so weird and so out of the ordinary and so suspiciously fake. I feel like that just sounds like that dream come true fairy tale where you picked up the phone and you called Gonzo because somehow you had the number, not just to call this animation studio in another country, but you knew how to get a hold of them to direct a sales pitch. I feel like that's a little too convenient. And when it comes to that, all of a sudden he's speaking to somebody that speaks perfect English and he's pitching a studio concept. That's like the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. That sounds completely, it sounds completely impossible. In which you have this magical occurrence where you're calling a studio cold calling, which, let's face it, nowadays that's completely just, no company wants to be bothered with cold calls. And we're talking 10 years ago. No, more than 10 years ago. We're talking 2006. So we're talking 14 years ago. The thing that's weird to me is he's not willing to actually go into details about the pitch and about, how this whole thing went down, where he got this studio from just a screenplay. Well, he's saying it's just from a screenplay. He didn't have all this stuff together. He didn't have an animation because he didn't have an animation studio. So this whole thing from here just sounds ridiculous. I mean, what do you think, Todd?
It does sound ridiculous because it's simple. He's promising like 1 billion different projects.
Well, right now we're just talking Prince Adventures.
Well,
back in 2006.
I think he bit off more than he can chew, because when it comes to producing a series, there's so many different multifaceted layers that go into producing a series. You have to pay animators, you have to pay voice actors, you have to pay a streaming service, composers,
other writers, editors,
directors, producers,
special effects,
background music, all kinds of stuff.
It takes a huge team and thousands of dollars to even get just an animated pitch out there. So where is he magically getting this opportunity with Gonzo? Has Gonzo ever said anything about that?
No, Gonzo has not said any statement about this as of this moment.
See, I feel like if they were actually involved with this project, they would be advertising it. If Gonzo Studios was actually working on this project, I feel like they'd want people to know that this project is a thing That way people can be excited and can go and be excited to watch it. And, you know, I feel like that would be he went in with a script on a piece of paper and notebooks of, you know, concepting, but he never had anything solidified right there. Okay, now we'll move on, I guess. I guess we're ready to move on. My passion, dedication, and drive got me puzzle piece after puzzle piece. So again, we don't have any actual, you know, solidified proof that this ever happened. He's saying, oh, with my passion and drive, I was able to get this, and this all magically lined up, ready to go. How did he pay for it back then? If he's already saying that an animation studio picked it up with nothing. There was nothing solidified there. And I could be completely wrong. And I'll be the first to admit that I don't know a lot about that process because as a voice actor, I don't get involved until the very end of the project when everything else is done and you need a voice actor. You normally don't hire talent until the last couple steps. I don't know, that's kind of weird. Okay. Eventually I approached actors. The very first actor I approached was Vic. This was about 10 years ago. Be longer, forgive Vic, me and others if we're not on the same page when it comes to exact dates. It does have an exact date though. Vic says it was 2006 or 2007. Oh. Sorry, our toddler. Todd, you take over.
2006, 2007, so it's not adding up. So we're, you know, he didn't talk to Vic until 2015. Right.
No, he says he talked to Vic in 2006.
No. Vic says he talked to him in 2015.
See, now we're getting two dates. Stop.
He didn't say that he approached Vic in 2006. He just says he approached Vic with PA. Which, from Vic's understanding, was 2015. So, from the time of 2006 to 2015, what did he do?
Apparently, he acquired everything for an animated pilot, except for, you know, voice actors.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I guess he magically got this studio that doesn't speak English, you know, other than a business level. He was magically just, you know, taken seriously at a cold call. Okay, so I actually have a story about this. I don't think I've ever told you this one either. So, my friend and I, when we were in the 6th grade, so this was 2006. No, it was 8th grade, so we called the business offices of Akira Toriyama. We did this by literally picking up the phone and calling the operator and saying we would like to speak to Akira Toriyama, and they connected us to his business phone. We were on a 3-way phone conversation, if y'all, that ages me a lot. And I remember because when they picked up the phone, nobody spoke English. So my question is, he did a cold call to Gonzo Studios. First off, why would they take that phone call seriously? And second of all, why would they transfer to somebody that speaks English for a sales pitch from an American developer for a Japanese TV show to be produced, an animation based in the States to be animated in Japan? Like, I feel like I'm drawing lines back and forth from country to country because that just doesn't make sense.
I know we're gonna go through it statement by statement and discuss, but so far nothing
makes you question the validity of it because it just seems so far-fetched that a cold call to a Japanese animation company in Japan, a cold call with an idea like, hey, I have this idea for a cartoon, they would take that seriously. That's my first question. Gonzo never said anything about it. If this was something that actually happened, wouldn't they have said something about it or advertised it?
Right.
Okay, you can keep going.
All right, next piece.
Do you think Gonzo will make a statement though?
No.
That he will-
Gonzo doesn't care. Gonzo doesn't care.
Gonzo doesn't care because Gonzo's not involved.
Gonzo's not really involved. He just brought it up to Gonzo. All right, next piece. I had all the pieces I thought to produce my show. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. No series, no show. But that wouldn't stop me. I didn't know the meaning of giving up. That was my downfall, I think. All right. I got to stop here. So,
Oh, that's
days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. What were you doing that was causing you not to produce the show?
Oh, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story of this down on his luck kid that, you know, had a dream and produced this thing out of thin air and achieved major success in a foreign company. I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale. It sounds so out there. Okay, sorry, I had to interject a little bit. Okay, go ahead, Todd.
I think I let my passion and dedication and drive and inexperience cause me to be unprofessional. Looking back, I say that was the case. I was excited. I wanted the world to see this awesome thing I created, but in doing so, I became unprofessional. I stepped on toes.
Okay, he did more than step on toes, though. To the point that he has called out companies like Marvel and companies like Disney. Like, that's more than stepping on toes. This industry seems to be all about making the right first impression. I guarantee you, because this is where that whole, we have a Netflix deal in the works, we have an Amazon Prime deal in the works. The problem is your first impression means everything in this industry, and if you don't get the right first impression, nobody takes you seriously. He's out there talking crap about very well-established companies. You don't have to agree with Funimation or with Viz Media. You don't have to agree with them to understand that they are very successful in the anime industry. But what he's been doing is blatantly bad-talking these companies that if you're trying to produce a series, you probably want to be on good terms with.
Don't forget, the first thing he said when they popped up right after Vic's case, oh, we're going to get the license to Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if everybody remembers that, but way back, last January, they actually threw out the claim that they were going to receive the rights to Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, which that's a huge claim. Like, that's even more far-fetched than saying you cold called a company and they gave you a TV show. That's even crazier. That's saying that your company is established enough that they're willing to put you in charge of a series that has been going on and has been beloved by fans everywhere since the 90s. Okay, are we ready to go on?
I would not give that up, so I don't know.
Oh my god, I know there it's so like, oh my
Really?
god, such a lie.
He really said that we got the rights to Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, he said that he kept challenging Toei and challenging Funimation, saying we're gonna get the rights to Dragon Ball, we're gonna get this, and this. I got her.
Like, we're going to get the rights to Dragon Ball and all these other things, and then it doesn't happen.
Dragon Ball's like $1 billion.
First of all, First of all, you're a one-man studio in Kentucky. Funimation is a multi-conglomerate located out of Texas with hundreds of employees spanned across multiple states. Like, what are you really gonna do?
My other thing is, what did they bring to the table that Funimation already didn't? Does anybody remember that FantasySoft actually released a statement? I don't remember the exact date, but that they were going to be introducing a stream platform.
I remember that statement. Yeah.
Potari, yes. They were going to be releasing a streaming platform in which members would pay every month to stream something. Don't know what, but they'd be streaming something. This, I guess they'd be streaming Prince Adventures, the show that doesn't have animation. I mean, oh, okay. See, I feel like that was their original goal, which is really ambitious. They wanted to create a streaming platform where they would not only stream their original content, but they would they would get licenses from other companies, and they would create and produce those dubs, and then they would release them on their own streaming platform. That alone sounds super duper ambitious for one guy. Because we have to remember, this is a production team of one. Okay, here's the next thing. I never intended to hurt anyone. I never intended to take advantage of anyone.
Doesn't matter what your intent is, you did it.
While pitching the show, I wrote and released books, created new stories, and created merch. People love the art from PA and my other projects, so why not put that art on backpacks and shoes? So let's stop there real quick. In order to create merchandise, he had to have reached out to different artists and commissioned them not only to create the character art and to make it look pretty, but he also had to have them sell to terminate their rights. And what that means is he would have had to pay them a specific amount of money so that they could not be like, this is art theft right here. That is my art that he's putting on t-shirts, so that it's not taking that from somebody else. He would have had to have paid those artists both for creating the art and for using the art on your merch. So I am curious, because yesterday we did hear about an artist that was very, very undervalued and very underappreciated, who only got paid $25 for something. And then he just assumed total rights for it. Like, it makes me wonder, these other artists that he's claiming worked for him, it makes me wonder what the contracts entailed in that. Did you immediately sign over the rights to your art? Or is it that he didn't tell anybody? There's a lot of what ifs, and he's not really answering anything. He's giving his origin story, which, let's be real here, none of us asked for that. People are wanting to know, where is all of this money that he raised with the promise that Vic Mignogna was doing this? Where is that money? What did he do with that money? What is he going to do about, refunding everybody their purchases? Because people have been donating thinking this is directly helping Vic Mignogna, who was wronged back last year. And at this point, it's looking like FantasySoft was taking advantage of somebody's misery and using the fact that he was hurt and shunned and everything else to his advantage. Oh, hello, baby. Todd, you continue. We're just going to keep tapping in and out.
Okay. What?
That's the worst of it all, I think, is that Vic was like felt hurt and shunned when this whole his whole situation happened, and then this pops up, which is the fact that FantasySoft is using Vic's name to profit themselves. Not only did he have one stab in the heart, that's like two stabs in the heart. It's like,
Well, Vic's not upset. Vic's not upset at them for asking him to be a part of the project. The thing that Vic's not happy about is that they're using his name to garner name recognition, so that it's a selling point. They're using Vic's name as a selling point for something that Vic completely said that he's going to be a part of.
I know, but still, that's gotta hurt him really bad.
I don't think it hurts him. I think he's just right.
It's technically called the right to publicity, because what he's doing is he's taking his name, image, likeness, and saying for sure that not only is he going to be in this series, but this is going to directly help him. And that's where all this crowdfunding came in, is people were donating thinking that they were actually helping Vic Mignogna personally by helping to donate to this guy. And he's a hell of a good con man, I'll tell you that, because people fell for it. And it's unfortunate that people fell for it, because it's people trying to be generous and trying to be supportive of this voice actor that was accused of something terrible, lost a ton of his own revenue, and people thought this was him getting another chance to, dominate the dubbing industry like he did. And now we're finding out that Vic was not really involved in this and had no idea that this guy was using his name to get money. It's hard because it's also a Christian-based company. Like a faith-based company. That's...
What pains me is like, Vic is not the only one they've kind of probably used their likeness, because if you remember, they talked about how they're working with Chuck Huber and Todd Haberkorn and Wendy Powell and Tyrone Magnus and Rachel Messer. They all mentioned all these big VA names that they're working with, and now seeing this makes me think, well, has Todd, Chuck, Wendy, have they all been contacted about this?
Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm actually reading down further into these. I'm reading further down into these tweets that he said. He's saying that in no way, shape, or form did he intentionally con or take advantage of anybody. Here's my issue with that statement. 6 years is a long time to quote-unquote unintentionally use somebody's likeness. That's 6 years that we're talking about, because he said that this project started 6 or 7 years ago, and that Vic approached him, or that he approached Vic, 6 or 7 years ago. 6, 7 years ago is a really long time to know that Vic said, contact me when it's done, and that you're still putting his name on stuff.
It's not about intent.
This isn't about intent. This is the fact that he's been doing this for 6 years. And if it was unintentional, he would know after a short period of time that that's just not right. And at this point, it's not even like demanding justice or anything. It's, where is the money? You've been very indirect about it. Where is your company going to go from here? Are you going to start being truthful? And are you going to refund people who donated thinking they were helping Vic directly? And see, some of the stuff that he's saying, one of the things that bothers me in one of these tweets that I'm looking at right now, it says, some of my stories are mature. Yes, Prince Adventures is mature. I call it the Christian Game of Thrones. It's raw and gritty, just like the Bible. These are the stories I want to tell. Here's my issue with that, because I actually take a little bit of offense to that. The Bible is not like Game of Thrones. Yes, there are some things in the Bible that are raw or gritty, but if you're going to be pitching this as a Christian company, I wouldn't be posting pinup pictures with a furry with a bulge. That's just disrespectful. And it's tasteless. I'm sorry. It's tasteless if you're advertising yourself as a Christian company where you're trying to, it's about evangelism and it's about teaching children about Jesus. You can't do that in the same sentence as putting a pinup furry with a bulge on a bunch of merchandise. It's hard.
That was awful. I'm not gonna lie. I actually almost puked.
That's one of those things that claiming to be a Christian company, nowadays that means you need to set a standard for yourself. And it's condoning yourself in a manner that Jesus would want you to. And it's not about, conning people. It's not about, wanting to... Right now, for all of this, it doesn't seem like it's about spreading the gospel. It seems to me like this is about money. And it's about fame and recognition. And it really makes me question, it makes me question his intent from the beginning with this, because he's saying he wanted faith-based entertainment, which is great. Like, I'm so cool with that. But then you look at the content that he is advertising, and it kind of backtracks a lot. Because you can't just look at the art and, the animations that what he does have. You also have to look at the CEO of the company and watch how he is handling himself. You're looking at somebody that, is talking crap about Funimation and Rooster Teeth and Disney and Marvel. I don't think anybody wants to see the CEO of any company, let alone a Christian-based company, handling themselves in a way like that, where things are incredibly spiteful, incredibly, poison-tipped and really sarcastic and really belittling to people. Like, it's really offensive if you're claiming to be a Christian company. Because I think of companies like Big Idea Entertainment.
Here's the thing too, remember when on his private Twitter account, not the Fantasy Soft Twitter account, but on his private Twitter account, he photoshopped himself on a body that has tons of muscles, and then he was like, in 2020, I want to get laid. I'm like, dude, that's super unprofessional of the company to say.
And see, that's one of those things. People pay really good attention. When you are the head of anything, people will pay attention to your social media pages, your personal ones, not your business page. We're not talking about a LinkedIn. We're talking about your day-to-day Twitter account. What you post and what you say will always be looked at in this industry. And the fact that he posted on his Fantasy Soft page, his business page, if I remember right, back in January, he posted something about nudism. He posted, he's been posting a bunch of this really, this really kind of disgusting, and I'm not saying disrespect towards anybody that actually does practice nudism. You do you. You do you, I do me. Respect everything. But if you're claiming to be a Christian company and you're talking about how your New Year's resolution is to get laid on your business account, that's unprofessional, both from a personal standpoint as well as from your company's mission statement. Which, does his company have a published mission statement? See, that's interesting.
Because I checked their website, and on their website, there's no mission statement. There's the news tab, contact tab, projects tab, and another tab, and welcome tab, I think, which is, we're a studio local in Google and stuff.
What's really unfortunate right now is I'm looking at the Twitter page after everything that was written, and people are still saying that they don't see how all of this is a problem. Okay, so somebody asked how somebody got this much influence in the first place. I feel like, and see, I don't know, this company, it seemed to come up out of nowhere. Back right after Vic Mignogna got fired by Funimation and Rooster Teeth, this company showed up out of nowhere saying, you know what, we're already hiring him. Like, I feel like they just jumped up out of nowhere. Like, I mean, I could be totally wrong. He's saying he's been doing this since 2005.
Like, it was just a studio that they jumped out of nowhere, and because we have Vic, everybody jumped on being like, oh my god, they have Vic, yeah. And the people were like, yeah, we're gonna stay
Wasn't there
together.
like a YouTuber that brought up Fantasy Star?
I don't remember because it was so long ago. But I do remember this company like spread like wildfire for being the only ones that stood with Vic.
Torrance is asking, how did this guy get so much influence in the first place? He used Vic as clout.
He used Vic
He's a clout chaser.
as like bait. He used Vic's whole incident as bait. Saying, you know what, look what happened to him. I'm going to save him. I'm going to give him a job. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And that's how he got so much pull in all of this, is he used Vic's situation as pretty much bait to his company. And I don't know if you call that intent or not. I call that a disgusting and deceitful business act. He did it to try to get more views for his company and more money in his pocket. At least that's the way I view it, he took his misery and all that stress and nastiness that he was going through. And at this point, I don't care if you're Kick Vic. I don't care if you're I Stand with Vic. Like, that doesn't matter at this point. What matters is this guy took Vic's situation and said, you know what? I'm going to be the only company that does this. I'm going to be the only company that supports him. And people flocked to that because they wanted the underdog story. That is such good freaking clickbait. And people want to see, they want to see him succeed after everything that happened. So the I Stand with Vic movement is the reason he has all this influence. It's because people wanted to see Vic, kick back and, rise up from the ashes or whatever, that Phoenix story. But none of that was true. Because Vic had no clue that this guy was using his name for that. I don't know. It's really sad that it seems that some people are still not understanding what happened, or they're choosing to blindly follow this guy still. Because on Twitter right now, somebody literally said, just because things have slowed down doesn't mean they're not happening. But the only proof that we have that anything happened with this is from 7 years ago, and it was recorded in Chris Sabat's studio. That is all we have. Like, as far as I've heard, at least, that is all they have as proof of anything. It's bizarre that people are so desperate to hold on to this, false hope. Let's face it, this is all false hope for him at this point. Because Vic has even said, you know what, don't use my name. Don't use me. I don't want you getting me from me. I mean...
Where's Tony?
I don't know.
It's every family saying, you guys, this isn't about sticking with Vic or Kick Vic anymore. It's about a company committing fraud and using someone's name and identity to get money. That's what it's about. And at the end of the day, we should all be fighting against a company that basically committed fraudulent actions.
Sorry, Todd, you want to lead the discussion for a minute? I'm trying to respond to somebody.
We still have to keep going with the statement because I think we still have to keep going with the statement because the last statement we read was I stepped on backpacks and shoes. We still have something else.
Okay, hold on.
So what's the game plan for Fraud Soft?
They're done. There's no game plan. They are done. There's no recovering from this. They are done.
No one, not okay.
Like me and Tony was talking about, they would probably just spend on strippers or some shit like that. Not to be dark, but what do you do with the money?
Wow, there's literally people saying that they don't think that this is fraud.
You know what? You can't win.
It's like talking to a brick wall. Like, you are not gonna get through to these people because they have been supporting this guy since day one, and they're going to continue even when there's nothing there. At least that's the way I view it. Like, some of the questions, and people are challenging it. People are commenting, and, you know, the Twitter feed is, you know, people challenging what is being said in this whole little sob story, I guess. And people are still like, you know what? I don't see it as fraud. Oh my gosh. But at this point, people are so sucked into it that they'll probably believe anything that he says. They will take it at face value, which, if this entire Vic Mignogna situation has taught anybody anything, it's that you don't take things at face value.
This whole post is pretty much I did this because I didn't know any better.
But see, he's also saying that he never conned anybody, that he never scammed people.
But he did.
But he did. He's just refusing to acknowledge it.
That's part of growing up.
But what the funny part is, he's only commenting on people that support him. He doesn't want to talk to the people that are bringing in the actual facts. He's only talking and interacting with the people that are saying, you know what? There's no fraud there. You didn't do nothing wrong.
Echo chambers are nice when it's your echo chamber.
Exactly. This whole... And I mean, the real question now is, where does Fantasy Soft go from here? They are losing more credibility. But see, I don't think it's going to be an issue of they're completely done. I honestly think he's going to try to continue. I think he is in such a delusional state, and he's so supported by just random people, that he's going to continue to promise this animation that is never going to come to fruition. Don't get me wrong, I hope he gets something done. Like, he owes this to people at this point. There has been so many empty promises of him getting this thing published and getting it out to the community. But it's been 7 years. We haven't seen anything new.
So you are.
No, we haven't seen anything. Guess what? Fantasy Soft was supposed to have this game called The Last of the Disciples come out in winter 2019. Guess what? It never came out on that release date.
Believe me, guys, we have stuff. We have concept art, but the problem with the concept art is it looks like other concepts from other things. Satan's character concept art looks like Captain Ginyu. Like, legit. Look it up and tell me that I'm wrong. It looks like Captain Ginyu. But I feel like this whole explanation thing is just like, oh, I did it because I didn't know any better, but I didn't con anybody, and I didn't intend to hurt Vic or hurt whoever. But it doesn't have to be the intent doesn't have to be there for it to happen. You might not have intended it to happen, but it happened. So what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to sit there and say, oh, well, it's the SJWs, right? They're coming after me, man. Or are you going to sit down and be an adult and be like, yeah, you know, I might have not intended that to happen, but it happened. Here's what I'm going to do. Even if it takes me 5-10 years, I will pay back every single cent of every single dollar of that money that was used towards this project and give it back to the people that I gave money to. Honestly, why hold on? Why does he get to spend that money and then not have to repay it and give reparation when it's clear that this project has never gone off the ground in 7-8 years? Why? Why Why do people get to put money in? Some people knowing that there was not going to be an anime, and not get any justice done for it. You know, at least put out a pilot if you're that dead ass set on having something. But if you're not going to put out anything, refund that money, not just to people that direct donated to you, but your Patreon too. Oh wait, he can't refund the Patreon because guess what? That was used to sponsor a con in Savannah, Georgia. And he's promising 7 seasons of the show. 91 episodes. Where are you going to find the capital to fund that? You're not.
Each
so,
episode costs
or
money.
are you just going to use Patreon money to fund that?
The $130 a month? I feel like we're beating a dead horse with this discussion because I feel like he's never going to learn.
How to get it animated? It's like about $2,000 a minute.
And I mean, that money has to come from somewhere. What does he do for a living? Does anybody know?
Nope, don't want to know.
Does he just do this for a living?
I don't think he even has a job because from what I've been seeing from his tree, he's like, oh, this is my mom.
Doesn't mean anything.
Mom. I mean nothing.
Because a lot of projects, when you start up a project, a lot of them are funded from your own money.
It has like Todd Havercorn and Rachel Messer. It's like, did you manage to be able to pay them? I don't think so.
But see, I think of people like Pixel Happy Games. Sorry, dude, I'm gonna shout you out. Somebody that raises that money on his own to pay talent with his own money. And with, if he does any crowdfunding, then it helps with that. But he has brought that project up from the ground by himself with his own money. Like, it brings up the question of if there is a Patreon, where is that money going? Indie rates don't even cover $130 for an episode. Because the average indie rate nowadays is $2 to $4 a line.
Should be 6 to 8.
If you had Todd Havercorn, Rachel Messer, who so probably won from the Last of the Disciples, and Last of the Disciples would never came out. They do pay him, but if he didn't pay Todd Havercorn, Rachel Messer, they could sue him for unpaid labor wages.
Did he talk to them personally?
I don't know. I sincerely hope someone contacted Todd and Rachel to comment on this fucking fraud or something.
I mean, at this point, it may not even, because I know Marissa Lenti dealt with Fantasy Soft as well. I feel like this is something that people have just started to ignore because it has a funny way of still lingering. Because according to Marissa Lenti, who said something a year ago, guys, she called this a year ago because she dealt with this guy.
Fucking soothsayer.
Literally 6 years ago, she recorded 2 lines for him and nothing else. So she thought the project was dead and moved on. Like probably the rest of these voice actors did. He had them record some test lines and then they never heard anything. And so they were like, okay, I guess I'm done. But now all of a sudden, people's names are on there when they never negotiated terms, signed contracts, there's so many ends that don't meet together, and there's so many unanswered questions in all of this. I feel like we're never going to actually get the answers we want.
Last I checked, Todd Havercorn still has The Last of the Disciples listed on his IMDb page. So does Rachel Messer. So does all the other voice actors who are supposedly a part of it.
Well, that's on them for holding on to that.
Still listed on the IMDb page. And I hate to hear it, but
What's
that
up?
voice actress that is supposedly with Fantasy Soft that Winnie and Todd have to guess what? She still has the first episode of Chris Adventures listed on her IMDb page.
Well, we'll get to her. I feel like we need to wrap up this Fantasy Soft discussion before we move to another discussion. because I feel like we're going to be backtracking a lot. Okay, so let's get final thoughts on this. Is Fantasy Soft actually going to, move forward? Are
No.
they going... Would you let me finish my question? Are we ever going to see anything regarding this animation?
No.
Are people ever going to actually be refunded the money they donated that they thought was helping Vic Mignogna?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh my god.
That's it.
And see, it's unfortunate because it's making...
W2, then maybe.
It really makes other independent studios look bad. And they could be some of the most, honest fucking people, but because they're an independent studio, and because we've seen what fucking Fantasy Soft can do, this is going to give business with independent studios a really bad image, and it's really unfortunate.
I mean, yeah, Mokas, we're trying to get Vic, right? Now, I don't even think Vic is gonna be want to be a part with us because of what this guy did.
I'm fine with that.
Because I know a lot of studios are now backtracking a little bit regarding hiring talent right now.
That's what we're doing.
Because I also saw another studio saying that they don't want to use Vic because of what happened. Or at least that they don't want to talk to him about it yet. I think if anything, this whole thing...
What happened?
I think if anything, this entire experience with Fantasy Soft has taught us how to run our own businesses more efficiently. Where we now know that we really can't be hiring people and then never using them. We can't just say we're hiring somebody and then never actually hiring them. I think it's going to teach everybody to follow a better code of ethics. I think we're done with this Fantasy Soft conversation. Do we want to move on?
Yeah.
I'm really surprised if the CEO of Fantasy Soft doesn't get reported for fraud. He should be reported for fraud.
But see, a lot of people don't think he's committing fraud.
But he is. That's the thing. If somebody's got to report fraud,
But see, a lot of people are saying that due to the fact that he did not say where the funds were going, that he technically did not commit fraud. Unfortunately, what he did commit is called a deceitful business act, which falls under charity fraud. And what that is it's fundraising under false pretenses. He told people that Vic Mignogna was voicing in this and that the money was going to help him and blah, blah, blah. And now we have so many unanswered questions because Vic literally said he's not doing business with this guy. I think we've kicked this horse enough.
Yep.
So here's the thing with you. Do you think he's for charity fraud?
No. I don't think anybody's going to press charges because honestly,
Who cares?
it's not enough money to make a huge difference unless somebody donated like $4,000 by themselves. Then yes, I believe somebody should press charges. But if you donated $10, I mean, try to get your money back, but he's probably going to ignore you. Okay, let's switch topics. Okay, Todd, I'll let you start this one. I'll take baby over talking about this one.
All right.
Let's go.
Okay, so a lot of these people probably already know who this person is. If you don't, I honestly don't think this is slinging her down in the mud because she's already dealt with this shit already. Everybody has. Kaylin Fair. She was employed through Fantasy Soft. I don't know if she's still employed through them. I know her IMDb page says that she is cast as a character in pre-production Prince Adventures, post-op, post-mortem people. But, Kaylin,
And this is why I moved on from the Fantasy Soft thing, is this is an entirely different discussion on its own.
you know, how'd she get the role in Prince Adventures?
Cold email.
Please, 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 please,
Probably
please,
saying
please,
she'd
please.
do it for free. She would probably do it for free. Hey.
I honestly don't want to talk about her because it's kind of shit. So I think we're gonna